Adaobi's fingers trembled as she peeled back the thin curtain that separated their one-room apartment from the outside world. The afternoon sun burned hot, but inside their home in Enugu, it was cold, cold with silence, with fear, with the weight of an unspoken decision. Her father, Pa Madabuchi, sat at the edge of the bed, his hands on his head. He hadn't spoken in over 10 minutes. The letter on the table still lay open, the one stamped in bold red. Final notice, 8 million naira due immediately. I should have known better, he muttered, voice cracking. This farm business was cursed from the beginning. Adaobi swallowed. They had tried everything. Loans, family help, her petty trading. Nothing was enough. And now the man they owed, Chief Chuka Anazi, was demanding repayment or consequences. When he arrived, it was without bodyguards, but with something worse, a proposal. She will marry me, Chief Chuka said, eyes fixed coldly on Adaobi. And your debt is wiped clean. The silence in the room was louder than thunder. Pa Majuabuchi looked up, guilt and shame swallowing his face. Adaobi blinked, stunned. A billionaire? A man almost 20 years older? A man she'd never spoken to, now claiming her like property? I'm not a goat to be sold in the market, she whispered, backing away. But when her father fell to the ground in tears, begging, something inside her cracked. That night, she stared at the stars from their zinc-roofed home and whispered a prayer she wasn't sure God would answer. She said yes the next day, not for love, not for wealth, but because she couldn't watch her father be destroyed. The wedding came faster than Adaobi could prepare her heart. There was no bridal shower, no excited friends fussing over her makeup, no dreams of dancing into forever with a man she loved. Just a tailor-fitted gown delivered by a stranger, a court wedding scheduled in less than a week, and her father, still recovering from guilt, trying not to meet her eyes. The media covered the wedding like a fairy tale. Local girl marries billionaire Chief Chuka Anazi in private ceremony. They didn't see the tears behind her veil, or the way her lips trembled when she said, I do. Chief Chuka remained stoic throughout. No smile, no emotion, only control. He slipped the ring on her finger like signing a business contract. She felt more like a transaction than a bride. Her hands were cold in his as they walked out of the court, flashes from reporters' cameras blinding her. Yet her soul felt even colder. Her mother had died years ago, but if she were alive, would she have stopped this? At the billionaire's mansion that night, Adaobi was shown to a separate room. The staff were polite, too polite, as if aware of the awkward tension between the newlyweds. She sat on the bed, staring at the silk sheets, wondering if she'd just lost herself forever. Then, unexpectedly, Chief Chuka knocked lightly and entered. I don't expect you to love me, he said without emotion, but I expect loyalty. This arrangement is beneficial to us both. You get your father's dignity back. I get a wife the world will stop questioning me about. He turned and left before she could reply. That night, she wept quietly into the pillow, dressed like a queen in a room that felt like a cage. Adaobi quickly discovered that wealth could be a prison, just a prettier one. Every morning, she woke up in a mansion so quiet it echoed. The staff greeted her with perfect courtesy, but behind their eyes, she saw judgment, or was it pity? Her only daily task was to look beautiful and act like a billionaire's wife. Chief Chuka rarely spoke. He left early for meetings and came home late, often smelling of expensive cologne and distance. They never ate together. If he did speak, it was instructions, not conversation. On the outside, Social media painted Adaobi as Nigeria's luckiest girl. She was constantly photographed at charity events, red carpets, fashion luncheons. But each smile was practiced, each laugh hollow. Inside, she was suffocating. One day, while wandering through the mansion, she found a locked room at the end of the hall. The cleaner warned her gently, "Oga doesn't like anyone near that room, madam." That night, she heard soft music playing from inside, an old tune filled with longing. Who was Chief Chuka before he became this cold billionaire? The next week, Adaobi collapsed at a public event from exhaustion. The media blamed it on pregnancy rumors. It wasn't. It was grief. For her freedom. For her lost dreams. Yet, even as the pressure mounted, something unexpected began to stir. She started noticing the small things about Chuka. The way he always carried a handkerchief with his late mother's initials embroidered on it, or how he paused for a second every time he passed the photo of a woman in the hallway. Behind that hard shell, there was pain. But why was he hiding it? Adaobi had made up her mind. That locked room at the end of the hallway called to her more than ever. And now she wasn't just curious, she was desperate for answers. Who was this man she had been forced to marry? Who was hiding behind the designer suits and the silence? One morning, after Chief Chuka left for Abuja on a business emergency, Adaobi waited until the house was nearly empty. With trembling hands, she approached the door again. This time, she tried turning the knob. It opened. The room was dim, frozen in time. On the wall hung a large painting of a woman, beautiful, with the same eyes as Chuka. His late wife? His sister? Beneath it stood a child's crib, untouched for years. Dust particles floated in the air like ghosts, and beside the crib was a framed hospital ID bracelet with the name Kizaram, a knot formed in Adaobi's throat. She searched the room slowly and found a shoebox filled with old letters and photos. One note, stained with tears, read, "I'll never forgive myself for not being there in time." Suddenly, it made sense. Chief Chuka had lost someone. Someone who changed him forever. That's why he was cold. That's why he kept people out. Love, to him, was now a wound, not a gift. When Chuka returned from his trip, Adaobi met him at the door, her eyes filled with empathy, not fear. "I saw the room," she said softly. He froze. "I'm not here to replace anyone, but I'd like to understand." For the first time since they got married, Chuka's walls cracked. His shoulders dropped. His eyes, always guarded, now glistened. "Then let me tell you everything," he whispered. The morning after Chief Chuka opened up to Adaobi, something shifted in the mansion. Gone was the cold silence. The staff noticed it first, how he smiled faintly when she entered the room, how he sat beside her at breakfast instead of at the far end of the table. Even Adaobi herself began to feel it. The walls were falling, and a heart once hardened by grief was learning to feel again. But love, like healing, doesn't announce itself. It grows quietly. One afternoon, Adaobi walked into the study with a tray of food. Chuka was buried in files, tired, distracted. She placed the tray down gently and turned to leave. "Wait," he said. She turned. "I used to think love was a weakness," he said, standing slowly, "that it brings pain. But you've shown me something different." Adaobi's heart thudded. "You married me because your father had no other choice. But you stayed, even when I gave you no reason to." She tried to speak, but he held her gaze. "I don't want a contract wife anymore, Adaobi. I want a partner. I want you, if you'll have me." Her eyes welled up. "I stayed," she whispered, "because I saw a man worth fighting for. I want you too, Chuka. Not for money. For you. He pulled her into a soft embrace, one not of obligation, but of acceptance. Two broken hearts had found their healing in each other. In that moment, Adaobi knew this wasn't a forced marriage anymore. This was love, real, raw, and reborn from pain.